Hey guys, Bing Chilling here. Today we'll be going over my guide for beginner monster players in Evolve Stage 2. The advice and tips in this video are geared towards newer players, and will focus on teaching macro concepts that are fundamental to learning monster. Let's get started. For easy understanding, I will break the game down to 3 phases. Stage 1, or the early game, Stage 2, the mid game, and Stage 3, the late game. Let's start with Stage 1. Starting with Stage 1, this is arguably the most important phase of the game for Monster. The goal of Stage 1 is to kill and eat wildlife to fill up your evolve meter while avoiding the hunters. At Stage 1, you're at your weakest, and want to minimize contact with hunters. You should aim to take 1 dome max during Stage 1. Taking a second Stage 1 dome is extremely punishing, and likely will lose you the match outright. The best solution we have to this problem is to use what we call a feeding route. A feeding route simply is a predetermined route that you take that lets you maximize the amount of wildlife you can get without getting caught by hunters. A good feeding route will give 95 to 100% evolve meter by the time the hunters can find and dome you for the first time, setting you up for a quick Stage 2 evolution. Here are some basic routes that you can use to get good Evo progress. All routes here are tested with Tier 1 Hunger versus Sunny comps, which are the fastest moving hunter comps in the game. For a more in-depth guide to feeding routes, I recommend watching Wilhelm's feeding route video, where he goes over various feeding routes with different monsters. Let's talk about what happens when you get domed. At stage 1, monster is at its weakest and hunters are at their strongest, so don't expect to wipe the enemy team the first dome. It is perfectly normal to lose the first dome without getting a single down. In the dome, you want to try and focus the hunter who has the least amount of protection. Generally that will mean focusing the medic or the support. An example is if the enemy team has Paladin Parnell and Sunny. Paladin is great at healing others and keeping himself alive, while Sunny can boost others, but not herself. In this situation, Sunny has the least protection on the team, making her the priority target. Using this principle, you can figure out who to focus in any team comp. During the fight, you want to keep an eye on the dome timer in the upper left corner. Each dome lasts 5 minutes, with both downing a hunter and taking health damage reducing the time in the dome. A hunter down will remove 3.5 minutes off the dome timer, while losing 4, 6.5, and 8.5% health as a monster will remove a minute each respectively, capping out at 20% health damage per dome. Any combination of these conditions will cause the dome to drop. After the dome drops, your goal is to escape. You do not want to overstay stage 1 at risk of delaying your stage 2 evo. The most crucial thing during the escape is to run through the middle of the map. The reason you want to run through the middle of the map is so that hunters are unable to cut you off. If you hug the edge of the map, hunters go through the middle and cut you off at the end of your path. Monsters will always beat hunters in a straight line race, so be sure you take the direct route. While running, it's also important to break LOS, or line of sight. As you escape, hunters will try to chase and get damage on you while you run. To minimize damage taken, make turns onto various terrain to break the enemy's sightline. If they can't see you, they can't shoot you. Once you've gotten enough distance, evolve to stage 2 and move into the mid-game. Stage 2 follows similar principles to stage 1. You will want to try and eat wildlife to fill up your meter while avoiding getting domed by the hunters. Since you typically will run to the opposite side of the map after the first chase, you will usually end up on the edge or the corner of the map. If the hunter dome is still on cooldown, around maybe 20 seconds or so, and you've eaten as much food as you can try to run straight through the hunters down the middle of the map to get distance and food on the other side of the map. The hunters can shoot you, but won't break armor, and because the dome is on cooldown, they can't stop you from getting past. However, if the dome is up and you're cornered, you will likely need to just take the engagement with the hunters and then leave afterwards. Similar to stage 1, focus the priority target, then once the dome drops, escape through the middle of the map, breaking LOS when you can. The main difference is at stage 2, it will require much more health damage than stage 1 to drop the dome, since your total health increases after evolving. You should aim to not get domed more than twice during stage 2. Once you have enough feed, evolve and get to stage 3. Congratulations, you made it to stage 3. At this point, you are at your strongest, and hunters will stop chasing and set up at the relay or another nearby defensive position. Your win condition is to either kill all the hunters or destroy the relay. Stage 3 plays a little differently than the other stages, so here's a few tips on how to play it out. The most basic strategy for stage 3 fights is to engage the hunters, get a striker down, then leave and fully armor up before repeating the process. Once you are able to kill out a hunter and make it a 3v1 or less, you can try and stay after a down to end the game. Keep an eye out for the dropship respawn timer, as if you try and end the game and the ship respawns all the hunters, you will have lost a ton of health with all the hunters alive and have to repeat the process all over again. As a monster, you will usually be forced to fight at a hunter favored location. If hunters set up on the relay, your only option is to fight them there. However, if they are set up further away from the relay, one option is to hit the relay to force them to come shoot you off of it. Once they come closer, you can try engaging on them while they're moving to catch them off guard. You can repeat this process until you get an engage that you like or until the hunters move closer. If they don't come close enough, you can just destroy the relay. Sometimes, hunters won't dome you immediately when you engage on them. In that case, it's important to watch your armor and health bar during your fight. If you try to engage on the hunters and miss your first few rotation of abilities, it's a good idea to try to run away and force the hunters to dome. If they do dome you, you still have some armor and won't lose extra health damage in the dome. If they don't dome you, you run, armor up, and come back for round 2. Don't be afraid to run away and reset if you aren't able to get a favorable engage the first couple times. Eventually, you'll break the hunters. And that wraps up my beginner monster guide. In summary, monster is a challenging role that can be both enjoyable and frustrating at the same time. A strong mental is the best friend of any good monster player, understanding that they will make mistakes and that it's okay to make them and use them as a learning opportunity. If you're interested in an Evolve community, there will be a link in the description to the Evolve Reunited 2.0 Discord, where we post announcements and host events related to Evolve. Thanks for watching.